Welcome to the Rose City, Rip City, Stumptown, and Bridgetown. Welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of My Real Portland, the podcast. I'm My Real Portland host, Joseph Lyons, and I'm so grateful you tuned in. You're about to meet three amazing Portland originals, a comedian, an activist, and a musician. Each My Real Portland episode features amazing artists and performers from all around the city. I'll ask them each the Portland questionnaire, and then I throw in a game show on top of it all for a fun night out with friends, German food, and beer. Tonight's show is recorded live at Portland's Jade Lounge next to the Slide Inn at 23rd and Ankeny on March 10th, 2019. Our next show is Sunday, April 14th at 6 p.m. Happy hour is at 5:30. At the beginning of this show, you'll hear my Aunt Lucy arrive, and I really love when friends and family come out to support the show. This particular night was a little bittersweet, though. After the show, my Aunt Lucy pulled me aside to let me know that my great-aunt Iva had passed away earlier that day in Pendleton. My great-aunt was a very important person to me growing up, and I put together a little video in her memory that you can see on my website, myrealportland.com. So, speaking of Portland originals, this show is produced by myself, Joseph Lyons, Portland Realtor, helping home buyers and sellers make their real dreams become real estate. Putting this show together is my real dream, and I support this fun hobby with my professional day job in real estate. And my career is all word of mouth, so please tell others you know of My Real Portland, the Realtor, Joseph Lyons. That's josephlyons.com. And now, on with the show.
It's always been always, I've always been here. I've always got time for one more beer. So pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band. It's My Real Portland.
Hello! Welcome everybody to My Real Portland! Oh my gosh, welcome. So I want to begin, as I'm going to begin every podcast. Hello, my Aunt Lucy is here. Everyone say hello, Aunt Lucy. Okay, now it's My Real Portland. I want to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Chinook people, including the Multnomah and Clackamas people. So we are coming to you live from the verdant Jade Lounge at 23rd and Southeast Ankeny in my hometown, Portland, Oregon. This is My Real Portland, highlighting real people and real stories all around the area. I'm your host, Joseph Lyons. And I've got a great show lined up for you this evening, starting with musician Mike Crenshaw, activist Barbara Dudley, and comedian Shrista Tyree. So just a couple of show notes. In April, we'll be right back here on the second Sunday with comedian Nathan Hart. In May, I'll have the founder of the Portland Queer Comedy Festival, Belinda Carroll, and musician Amanda Richards here. And then in June is going to be the All Pride episode, and we'll start off with trans comic Karina Lucas, and then the executive director of the Q Center and activist Cameron Whitten will be here in June. So make sure you schedule all of that in your calendars. So welcome to the best day of the year so far. Welcome. Spring is here. Last month, Portland had to cancel the worst day of the year bike ride because of the weather. It had to be rescheduled for a better day. So Portland, in the last month, there have been news reports of 3 naked men in the city of Portland. One assaulted a woman at a Mac stop. One stabbed a police officer. And the third was merely out for a jog. Which proves that things are funnier so long as they happen in threes. Did you hear about this guy, speaking of threes, who was trapped in the Deschutes National Forest and all he had to survive on was 3 Taco Bell packets? So Taco Bell rewarded him with a whole year's supply. They doomed him with a whole year's supply of Taco Bell food. Okay, so that's my 3 jokes. Those are my 3 funny jokes, so they were funnier because they were in threes. And so now it's time for the show. My first guest was suggested to me by a friend of the show, D. Martin Austin. Shrista was recently featured on the January edition of PDX Scene magazine and has been seen on stages from Helium Comedy Club to PDX Queer Comedy Festival. Please welcome to the stage comedian Shrista Tyree.
Man, I need to read that itinerary he sent me. I did not know I was going right now. He starts explaining to somebody. I was like, man, that person sounds just like me, bro. I was like, oh, shit, okay. What's up, y'all? Make some motherfucking noise. He booked me for the show. I was like, you know what I talk about, right? I hope y'all ready. I cuss a lot. It's a thing that I do, but you guys are gonna fucking love me, so don't worry about it. Shout out to Aunt Lucy. I heard so much about you before the show started. So I'm really glad you're here. Make some noise for his Aunt Lucy back there, y'all. Thank you for putting this on, Joseph. Is that what you go by? I didn't even ask you. That's just your Facebook name. I was okay, Joseph. I sound like a fucking square up here. My bad. So I'm a gay comic here in Portland, y'all. That's where you cheer, you assholes. There you go. There you go. So I'm a gay comic, and I get a lot of shit sometimes. They're like, Shrista, you don't talk about being gay enough. You don't identify as being a lesbian on stage. Blah, blah, blah. Look at me, guys. Do I look like I need to come out and say I'm gay? I'm fucking screaming sports bras and scissoring. Shit, we don't really scissor, y'all. Why y'all laughing so hard? Or at least I don't, because I'm not that fucking acrobatic. That shit's hard, bro. I'm a really bad lesbian. I fucking suck at that shit, but I'm working on it. But I'm also like gay and dyslexic. And I'm gonna tell y'all why that's a problem. Like straight people, you guys call yourselves straight people. Then there's us, there's our community. We decided to call ourselves the LGB Alpha Bravo. I don't give a fuck. I'm dyslexic. I can't remember those goddamn letters in a row. Shit, up until yesterday, I still thought elemental P was a letter in the alphabet. Fuck, this some bullshit, man. We got any single people in here tonight? Make some noise to be single in here. Ah, damn, it's struggling, I saw someone over there. Are you single? Nope. Damn, I picked the wrong crowd. God damn. Y'all like, bitch, I'm happily in love. I'm the only motherfucker struggling then. Well, fuck that set thing, because y'all ain't single in this bitch, so we just gonna skip over that one, man. We'll talk about something else. Let's talk about dating, since I'm the only one struggling. So I do a lot of online dating, y'all, and recently I met this girl, and she was like, hey, Shrista, can you send me a pic? I was like, yeah, girl, I got you, so I send her a pic. She texts me back, she's like, nah. Can you send me a dick pic? What the fuck? So I go over to my drawer. I'm like, damn, what's her favorite color? Like, my issue wasn't that a girl asked me for a dick pic. My issue was, is this bitch a blood or a crip? Because I don't want to send her a blue dick pic and have my dildos gangbanging in the drawer and shit. Like, my dildo collection is diverse as fuck, y'all. It's diverse as fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, we rapping now. Okay. Hey, I told this girl straight up, I was like, I got a light dildo, dark dildo, small dildo, big dildo, long dildo, short dildo, blue dildo, black dildo. Still dildo. Hey. Y'all fuck with that? I'm gonna need all y'all not to tell Jay-Z about that. He might be mad about that one, but fuck it. Catch me on iTunes, still dildo, coming out soon. Shit. I know, he's like, you gonna be bumping that. That would be weird, huh? Would that be weird to bump? He's like, hell no, bitch, that was cracking. See, that was popping. Man. Thank you. I'm like really creative, as you can tell. Like, Dr. Seuss jokes over here, man. Dr. Seuss got rhyme though. Like he got flow like a motherfucker. That look by Crenshaw was like, yup. He a rapper, so he's acknowledging Dr. Seuss. It's my brother. I need to get a feature with him one time for the one time. But anyways, man, I was gonna do a whole thing about being single, but I really hate y'all right now. It's all good. We gonna switch this shit up because I can do that. So I was gonna say though, like, it's actually really diverse in here tonight. That was a joke. There is a lot of white people in here tonight. God damn. Is it brunch? Man. Fucking early shit, I don't know. Man, all my people of color, my 2 friends I brought, I just want to throw this out there. Make some noise tonight. Oh, y'all ain't people of color? God damn, they struggling. Y'all ain't my friends no more. God damn. All my white people make some motherfucking noise. That was racist. Wow, I just got up here. God damn. I'm fucking with y'all. I love white people. My best friend's white. You know? I'm glad y'all got that. Dig deep, motherfuckers. Shit. I actually get a lot of shit, though, from, like, my black friends, because I date a lot of white women. I like a lot of white women. They're like, Shrista, why you like white women so much? Why you like white women so much? I'm like, I mean, I like white women because they're exotic. My friend's like, how the fuck is a white woman exotic? I'm like, did you know they got pink nipples? That shit was exotic as a motherfucker to me. I ain't ever seen no shit like that. That was some National Geographic shit. That was some weird shit, bro. I was like, man, and my friend's like, nah, Shrista, you need to support black love. You need to support black love. I'm like, I do support black love, but I also support these pink nipples, my nigga. God damn. Make some motherfucking noise for pink nipples tonight, y'all. That was racist. Wow. I'm just playing. I really do fuck with pink nipples, though. I do. But I actually dated one white woman my whole life. And she broke my heart, y'all. She broke my heart, and so I did what I do best. I wrote a song about her. So I'm about to rap this song I wrote about her. It's called Love Song. DJ, drop that love song. It's gonna get real sentimental in here. I'm thinking that she loved me, man. I'm thinking that she loved me. She told me that she needed me. I think this is a love song. I'm about to do a love song. Hey. I'm about to do a love song. I think this is a love song. We about to do a love song. She told me that she loved me. She told me that she hugged me. She told me that she loved me. I'm about to do a love song. I think this is a love song. We about to do a love song. She told me that she leave me. She told me that she pleased me. She told me that she leave me. She said she loved me, but she don't. I'll take it. Mike Jones, she didn't want me. Now I might make it. Gave her my heart, one of a kind. Gave that bitch everything, and I found out she lied. No Harry Potter? That's rubbish. I'm kind of pissed. You told me you liked it. Went to the bookstore and bought this. Thought we had a bond. Hermione to my Ron. Come to find out, you just a motherfucking con. Bitch, stop saying the N-word for you. Or a button-up shirt for your white family, too. I hate country music, but I did it for you. Stop calling my braids cornrows. I hate that shit, too. 3 years of my life that I wasted on this hoe. Now the only bitches who like me are my John Petco. I'm done with the fakes. I'm done with the lies. I think this is a love song. Maybe not. Bye.
I'm about to do a love song. I think this is a love song. I'm about to do a love song. She told me that she loved me. She told me that.
I ain't gonna lie to y'all. We broke up 7 years ago. And we ended on really good terms, too. But I just became a rapper, so she got a diss track anyways. I was like, man, Jamie, I love you, but no. She be watching my Snap stories and stuff, too, and I'll be posting that. And she'll be texting me like, I thought we was cool. I thought we was, too, but you was a good thing to write about. It was a good time, man. But, yeah, she was the last girl I had hooked up with, or I had been in a relationship with, a white woman that I was in a relationship with. But after that, I actually, I ended up fucking a lot of white women, y'all. Like, I fucked a lot of white women. Like, I fucked so many white women, my pussy is gentrified. I fucked so many white women, my pussy told me it was a vegan the other day. Fuck that shit. I love white people, remember? I told y'all that at the beginning. I love y'all. I love y'all. Black History Month just ended. Shout out to Black History Month. Don't be delaying that. Shout out to Black History Month, motherfuckers. All right, now I'm going to talk about my titties. Sorry, I just want to get that out of there. So, yeah, right? He's like, yes, talk about them titties, girl. So, I got some really big titties, y'all. I got some big-ass titties. And I get a lot of shit. People are like, it's not fair that you have big titties and you're masculine and you don't want them. First off, I'm a lesbian. Bitches like titties, so I like titties too. Shit. And like, they're always like, Shrista, where did you inherit your titties from? Did you get it from your mom or your dad? And I'm like, honestly, I used to pray a lot as a kid, so I inherited these titties from God, y'all. These are my prayer titties, man. I don't call these bitches blessings. I call these my prayer titties. And when they started growing, I started celebrating my titties a lot. Like, I started celebrating the growth. So I was at a point where I was like, hey, Shrista got an 8 cup. Shrista got an 8 cup. Hey, Dad. Shrista got a B cup. Shrista got a B cup. And then it got to a point where, like, they wouldn't stop growing. So I'm like, Shrista got a double M cup. Liter. Shrista got a double M gallon. You're right. I'm at that point where I'm kind of mad, so I start praying back to him, like, man, take these titties away. And he's like, nah, you stuck with them now. And the problem is, like, I wanted some small titties, y'all. Maybe some A cups, some B cups, or like those like triangle titties the skinny bitches be having, you know? But nah, this nigga gave me Baywatch titties. Do you know how hard it is to pull off Baywatch titties when you look like Lil Bow Wow? That's my set. I'm Shrista Tyree, y'all. Still dildo. Hey.
Keep it going for Shrista Tyree.
Hey. Feel like I'm about to start stripping.
So you've been doing a lot of podcasts lately, and
Yes.
and you were saying online that you hadn't been getting really, really difficult questions, right?
I haven't. I just get all the basic ones. How did you start stand-up? No offense if that's one of your questions. He's like, yes, it is, motherfucker.
Oh, crap.
It's okay. You can still ask that because it's still a good question.
The third one. Let's jump into your stand-up career, but let's not get there. How's your love life?
Well, damn it.
Yeah, I know. I put that one at the end, but I'm jumping forward.
Since I was talking about my dildos. Love life. Man, you didn't give me a moment to think about that one.
Caught you off guard.
I do. I have somebody I talk to. That sounded so weird. I have somebody. I'm struggling. I kind of like get a lot of social media attention. So me and her have decided to try to keep like our relationship separately.
Absolutely.
Which is really hard for me because I talk a lot. And I want to post her every moment. I ain't gonna lie about it. But yeah, we've been together for like 6 months, and she was actually my best friend. So she was just my friend for 4 years. Ooh. And then this summer I was like, I gotta tell you something. Whew.
Oh,
you know when you have that like question in your head, you like want to say something, and it's just scary. Like I didn't know how she was gonna react to it because I had no idea if she felt the same way, and I had never got the vibe that she ever liked me. So I was like, I don't think so.
So why do you think you weren't picking up on it?
I don't know. She just like she's super alpha, bro. Don't record any of this. She already thinks she's a thug. So
all right,
she is just alpha as hell, and she just kind of be running shit. And I don't know. I never got that vibe from her. But once I told her, she was like, "I'm feeling you too." And then we just started talking, and we're keeping on the DL a little bit. I mean, my friends know. I post her here and there. But no, that's all. Let's move on.
That's sweet. hey, love is love, right? So you grew up in Portland, and as you've said a couple of times in interviews, you've kind of grown up all around town. Is there a place that feels more like home than others, or does?
Not at all, actually. Growing up, we were in foster care a lot, so we moved a lot. So I've literally lived everywhere. I grew up in Northeast until like I was like I'd say like 2nd or 3rd grade. And then we were in Southeast, then we were in Southwest, then we were in Beaverton, then we were in Troutdale. So I lived somewhere new every year my whole life, so I never even made friends. So I never had friends growing up. So like, honestly, pursuing comedy these last 2 years is like where I finally got friends, and I just turned 30 years old, and it's weird, but I've never really had friends. And I've, like you said, I never felt at home. So when I turned 18, I actually moved for 7 years. I moved to Vegas with my sister. And so I moved back here only 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved at like the brink of my adulthood.
What
so I don't
were you
know
doing
anybody.
in Vegas?
I was honestly just partying a lot. We just partied. That's all we did. My sister was pursuing modeling, and so she was just making bank. And I was just living off her, honestly. We just assumed she'd be famous by now. Don't repeat that, but she didn't get famous. But hey, she's still beautiful as hell and still pursuing it till this day. She's only 2 years older than me, so she's 32. But we were just riding off her money, and we was just partying a lot. I did nothing with my life for like 6 to 7 years, and which is crazy. And then I found comedy just recently. It was like a recent thing. I never thought about doing comedy ever in my life. It was never a thing. And I was always distracted by my sister's success, and I never really thought about my own success. And once I moved back here, it was just like I was on my own, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like I'm not chilling with my sis no more.
You have said, I think, that somebody had suggested to you to go into comedy.
Yep.
Who was that?
It was multiple people, but it was actually somebody's mom who told me that, where it was like, I saw her enough because one of my best friend's mom just thought I was so funny. And I was hung out with my best friend all the time. And her mom was always like, you need to pursue comedy. And then it got to a point where like she wouldn't speak to me unless I've done an open mic. And I'm like, bruh, we're like at a family barbecue. You're not going to talk to me? Like, it just started getting kind of awkward. But yeah, she pushed me, and on every Facebook status, she would comment on there and be like, so you going to do comedy yet? And so I would definitely say it was her, but I heard that from a lot of people. It's just she was very persistent on pushing me to do it. She's like, I went to comedy shows in Portland. Like, you're pretty funny. You're really natural. And I was like, all right, I'll try it. And then I'd made that decision that I'd try it, so I wrote a set. And 3 days later, after writing the set, I went and did an open mic. And I announced it to Facebook and told hella people. So I ended up having 32 people show up. And I was like, damn, if I suck, this is going to be trash, man. And like I mean, it's friends and family. They kind of overlaugh at some of your shit. I don't do any of the stuff I ever talked about last year because it was not funny, but they made me feel like I was hilarious when I first started. But yeah, it's dope now. So
the comedy bug obviously stuck, and there's a lot of comedians who will say that comedy saved their life at a certain point. Do you think that would be true of you now or at some point in the future?
Look at him digging deep for these questions. I've never been asked that.
You told me to bring it.
That's a good one. Comedy has like, it really has changed my life. Weirdly enough, with comedy, and you've probably heard this if you watch a lot of comedy podcast type things, we're laughing about our traumas. So yeah, we're on stage laughing about shit. Like I'm laughing about being gay. I'm laughing about all those things. But there was a point in my life where I came out and nobody wanted to be my friend because of that. So it was like I'm laughing at these traumas that really hurt me at a time in my life. And that's with anything. I'm laughing about this dildo thing, which is hilarious, I ain't gonna lie. But like, that shit's funny. But there was like a time where like I didn't use, like, we're gonna get kind of sexual. I didn't use dildos because I hated that people assumed we used them. And so that, for some reason, bothered the fuck out of me. And I was like, no, we don't. And because people always associated that with me wanting to be a man, which is a whole different thing. That's in, like, the trans category, which people confuse lesbian and trans. Two different things. So it kind of bothered me. So I didn't even start using dildos till maybe a year or two ago. So anytime people would, like, make fun and, like, make strap-on jokes or something, it really bothered me. That bothered me for my whole life. Because it always was associated with me wanting to be a man. And I fucking love being a woman. I like to paint my nails. I like to have girls' night. All my friends are females because I'm actually pretty feminine. So I don't have a lot of male friends. I don't know. Guys are just too masculine. They say a lot of mean things sometimes. I'm like, damn, I'm emotional. Hold on. Like, they say some stuff sometimes, like, wow, you forgot that I was a woman. That's, yeah. They say,
hell, even forget that you're a human.
Yeah,
right?
They say just kind of mean stuff sometimes, and I realize I can't really be too close with men. I have one of my best friends, or two of my best friends are guys, but I also have a couple female best friends too, but like other than that, it's really hard to be friends with a lot of males because they're insensitive to stuff and they forget that I'm a woman. Like, yeah, I'm still emotional as hell. And like the whole, who's the girl, who's the boy in the relationship? I hate that question, but I'm definitely the girl in it because she's alpha as hell. If we gotta choose, it ain't me. She is running shit.
I like you. I hated that question when I was younger. It never made any sense. And actually now that my partner and I we're two clearly men, and it's that's a lot of fun.
I also will hit them with we're both girls in the relationship. And just stare at them.
Right?
Assholes.
Exactly. So you blend comedy and rap together. Now, had you been rapping before doing comedy?
I did poetry.
Poetry, okay.
So I always tell people I never did stage stuff. I actually did like slam poetry for a little bit. It wasn't a real thing. It was like I went to open mics. Like
sure.
when I was in Vegas, I would go to open mics or something like that. Like it wasn't like I was doing showcases. I never did a showcase. So I was always doing poetry. And then when I started doing comedy, it was like I started also getting into the hip hop community because a lot of my friends were rappers. And so I was like, I wonder if I can like bring that on stage. And I saw Cat Williams, he does that a lot on his stand-up sets back in the day. I don't know what he's doing now, but he used to always like rap on set or like have music play or something. And I just wanted to incorporate that into my comedy. So I don't know, it's been working for me, and it also makes me different and unique because no one else is doing that in Portland.
Oh,
so.
Absolutely. And you're also doing it in video form.
Yep.
It's another thing that you're branching out into. Now, when I was growing up, Weird Al was a big influence. Have you been influenced by Weird Al? It's a generational question I'm asking, by the way, here.
Yeah, well, we're in the Lil Dicky era, just to throw that out there. So here's the thing. With Weird Al, he did parodies. The difference between that is he's using a song that was already big at one point, and he's changing the words, and people are listening because they've already heard that beat. They've already loved that song before. And so he's doing parodies. And I'm coming out with a rap album soon, and everyone thinks I'm doing parodies, but I'm not. It's more of Lil Dicky. If you guys don't know who Lil Dicky is, he's a rapper, but he does a lot of comedy raps. He's saying a lot of funny stuff within his raps, but he's making original music. That's the difference. I'm making original music. I'm not doing parodies. So I got some funny shit coming out. I'm actually going to be completely done, I think, next week. So.
Wow, awesome.
Hey.
Breaking news. So your name is Shrista Tyree. That's your stage name.
That is.
Right, and your birth name, Shrista Little.
Yeah, my government name is Shrista Tyree Little. Most people don't know that. I think I made up the Tyree thing. Let me get on a side note on the Tyree thing. So, a couple years ago, I started going by Tyree, and I went by Tyree because people couldn't say Shrista. They always said Shrista, which is weird because it's spelled just like Krista, just like Trista, and I don't think Kristas and Tristas get called Kristas and Tristas.
No.
So it confuses me, so I started going by Tyree, and the awkwardest thing about it is I went home one day, and like my mom was like, "Oh, you're going by Tyree now." And she like gave me that look like I was pretty much transitioning into a guy.
Oh my God.
And so everyone thought I was because I was going by Tyree. And I was like, Mama, I'm going by Tyree because they can't say my name. Like, what the hell? At least everyone else, they thought I made it up. But she knew that was my name. I'm like, Mom, I'm not. This ain't a thing. But that was a thing at the time. Like, it wasn't just my mom. It was a lot of people thought because I was going by Tyree, I was going through a transitioning stage. And I was like, that's so weird. And I had to start showing my ID. I was like, nah, nigga, this is my name.
Oh, my gosh.
But I go by Shrista Tyree because I actually have never liked my last name, Little. I never liked it because I was little. And I'm the only little person in the Little family. That's why it bothered me. So everyone in my family is tall except for me.
So you're not going to like this question that I put together.
Sure.
So when I had Joe Hieronymus on, he was talking. Do you know Joe Hieronymus, local comedian?
No idea who that is.
Oh, really? He's a great guy.
Must not be good. Just playing. Don't creep. Cut that out. Remember that time you said you can cut stuff out? Yeah. Cut that out.
That never happened. So I asked. He was talking about that it's hard to get people to come out and see his shows. Nobody wants to come out and see Joe Hieronymus. So I asked him, what about just switching up his name and putting his last name first and going as Hieronymus Joe? So I'm just wondering. Same question for you. Have you ever thought of going by Lil Shrista?
Yeah, I ain't gonna do that.
No.
That's not a thing.
See, I knew you weren't gonna like that question.
Yeah, in high school, everyone called me Little because they couldn't say Shrista. That bothered me too. I was called Little my entire high school freaking career.
Oh gosh.
I was either Little or Zab's little sister because my sister was like the most popular girl in any school we ever went to. So I never had my own name. So this is my first time actually having a name. Like, it's nice that people are like, oh my gosh, Shrista. And for me, that's a big deal because until I was 18 years old, I never had a name. And so, anyways, we just got really sentimental.
Oh man, I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm just touched now. Now I would just want to call you Shrista all day long.
Yes, do it.
Okay,
Do it.
So let's do some plugs before we get to the Portland questionnaire.
Oh, shit.
How can people follow you? Where are you going to be seen next?
You can follow me at Shrista Tyree. It's the same on everything because back to my name is kind of difficult, so no one has my name. Yeah, so even just Shrista, you can find me. You don't even have to put the Tyree in because I'm the only Shrista in the world, apparently, which is weird.
But probably if you just look for Tyree, you'll probably still
Maybe,
find you.
but nah, Tyree's a common name in the black community. But Shrista is not a common name at all. But yeah, it's spelled Shrista. So if you look that up, I'm the same in everything. I feel like there's something else you told me to say.
Where are you going to be seen next?
Oh, I'm going to be at Cruise Room on the 28th at 7 p.m. And that's hosted by Rochelle Cochran. Come through, a.k.a. Dirty Racket. She raps too. But awesome. That's a stupid name, but I love her anyways.
Are you still hosting Bossin' Up?
I am. So I started my own hip-hop monthly show. So I'm in the community so much. I decided to start my own show. Mainly because I had some drama with some people I was working with. And so I was like, let me just do my own thing and I won't have as much drama. So I host a monthly hip-hop show called Bossin' Up. And it's Bossin' Up PDX on all social media sites. It's a pretty dope show. And I also host a weekly music open mic, which is mainly hip-hop based. Anyone is welcome. But since I'm on it, everyone just assumes they got to do hip-hop when they come. So now it's a pretty much hip-hop show, which is dope because I freaking love hip-hop. So I'm doing that weekly at Portland Burger in downtown Portland every Wednesday. That's popping. But yeah, and I'm hosting a ton of hip-hop shows around town. So you'll see my name on every flyer. It's fun, and they pay me way more than comedy because we don't get paid shit for comedy, but I love it.
That's fantastic.
I'm going to end it with I love it, though.
Hey, having the combination of a career between doing both things and getting to do it all, it's fantastic.
Thank you. Oh, we about to get real.
Okay, that sound means it's time for the Portland questionnaire. The My Real Portland questionnaire. See, that's another thing that I just got to cut out.
Hey.
And every time I do that, I just give myself more work tomorrow, so I should stop doing that. Okay, so Shrista, this is going to be the questionnaire based on the famous Marcel Proust and James Lipton questionnaires. So are you ready?
I guess. I thought I was getting off stage. All right.
All right.
Hit me.
So what's your favorite smell in Portland?
Stripper's perfume. I go to the strip club a lot, okay? They smell bomb.
I wonder if the answer to this will be related. What's your favorite sound in Portland?
White people eating vegan things.
What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
Burnside. That was a really boring one, but
I know, right?
I used to cross that as a kid all the time, so that might be the only bridge I know. So
there's lots of lovely ones. I encourage you to go out and find them all. What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
We have famous Portlandians.
I
was like,
that works as an answer.
Right.
Okay. Where are you most likely to find? Where are we most likely to find you for weekend breakfast? 3 a.m. at the Hot Cake House, 6 a.m. at Stumptown Coffee, 11 a.m. right here at the Slide Inn, or 4 p.m. for Bloody Marys?
Definitely Hot Cake. I've been there multiple times and don't even remember how I got there. So, Hot Cake. That's the shit. That's a throwback, man. I ain't been there in a minute.
I know. I want to go there on my way home. If you could rename any Portland street, which street would you rename and for who?
Damn, that's a really, really random one. Shit. I don't know about a rename, but it would be dope if we had a Quantus Hayes. A Quantus Hayes Street, because he was a black teen killed a couple years ago, and I actually held a benefit show for his family. We raised like $1,700, all cash at the benefit. But yeah, he was killed, and his family is fighting right now for justice. So they're actually suing Portland police and the city of Portland. So I'm hoping that goes through. It's been years in the making, but yeah, shout out to the Hayes family and hopefully get some justice.
That's an excellent answer.
Thank you. And that was on the spot. I was like, ooh.
And I'm hoping to compile these answers and make use of them at some point. So if you were a tree, this is your last question. If you were a tree, which Portland park would you want to be planted in?
That is weird as hell. But,
I know, right?
Probably the Portland
mind.
Park. Oh, I'm stuttering like the Portland Park by Lloyd Center. You know why? Because all the Benson kids be smoking weed over there, and I feel like I just need to be high in life all the time. So let's go with that bad boy.
I love that answer. Thanks. One more time for Shrista Tyree.
Thank you, guys.
When I announced my next guest online, a friend of the show, Melinda Pittman, who was on the April episode, you can go listen to that whenever you'd like, described my next guest as one of her many sheroes. She is the co-chair of the Oregon Working Families Party and senior fellow at the Portland State University Hatfield School of Government Center for Public Service. She has held leadership positions with the Oregon Center for Public Policy, the AFL-CIO, California Rural Legal Defense, and Agricultural Labor Relations Board. And she's the former executive director of Greenpeace USA and president of the National Lawyers Guild. Please welcome a woman who I get to dance with on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Barbara Dudley.
That sounds so frigging boring. I mean, really.
So what's
There's
funny
no
to me,
explanation for this, Joey. None.
what's funny to me is that your bio reads to me like soft porn. It is. I mean, it
Very
is-
soft.
It really is. Your career is just extraordinary, and when I started doing the show
But
last
it's not
year.
funny. It's not hip. It's got, this is just the most bizarre contrast imaginable.
But look at the room and feel the room. Well, obviously, we're all doing wonderful, lovely, beautiful things for the world, whether it's holding a benefit for the Quantus Hayes family or 40 years of history of activism.
More like 70.
I didn't want to age you.
Yeah, right. It's
so-
okay.
So I recently found out. So the reason why I wanted Barbara here was for lots of reasons. One is to talk about her extraordinary career. But when I first asked her to be on the show, we were on day, I think, 24 of the great government shutdown. And at that point, I was like, pulling what little hair I had out. And wanted something to help make sense of the moment that we find ourselves in. I'm a family genealogist, and I have looked into all sorts of my family, and one of the interesting things is finding out when I was conceived. According to the calculators, I was conceived on the night of Nixon's Saturday Massacre. And he resigned from office 3 weeks after I was born. So I don't have a perspective at all of those of that era, right? I became aware during the Reagan years and that whole arc. I don't really understand how crazy this moment is. Is it as nuts as it feels? Is it worse? Is it better?
Ooh, it is definitely as nuts as it feels, but worse than what? I mean, this country has been through some pretty bad shit, and
Right.
I would say, in terms of the sort of craziness of Donald Trump, you know, the kind of weird, off-kilter, unhinged part of him. I mean, have you ever heard of Joe McCarthy?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he made Donald Trump look downright civilized. So we have had way
now, that's
worse.
something that I don't get from the history books, that no one's ever said to me as directly as that sentence. I needed to hear that.
Oh, my God. I mean, Joe McCarthy was not just nuts, but vicious, and destroyed people, not just his friends like Michael Cohen and, you know, Flynn and the rest of them, but destroyed thousands of people's lives for having left-wing politics. It was probably one of the most vicious periods in our history. I mean, I was just in high school during that period, so it was sort of formative in a vague way. But no, it was very serious. And in terms of impact, I kind of think that the Reagan years were worse than what we're facing now. To me, that was the most startling reversal of things. I mean, I think of it sometimes, you know, under Lyndon Johnson, who also brought us the Vietnam War, but
Right.
he brought us well, he didn't bring us the Vietnam War. Others got us into it first, but he carried it out. But he also brought us the war on poverty. And the thing about Reagan is it got turned around. It became the war on the poor. And it really did undo the New Deal, and it undid the war on poverty, and it brought us to where we are now, economically, that made Trump possible, I think.
And
So
a big part of what you said in a recent podcast, Healing Justice, was that during the Reagan years, that's when the tax, the marginal tax rate came down, and that was kind of the signal of the big change that we're experiencing.
it was the
now.
big economic change. I mean, there were several big changes. That he brought the marginal tax rate down from 70% down to 28%. I mean, it had been 90% during the New Deal era. So just think about that. The super rich were paying, on their super richness, they were paying 90% taxes. They're now paying 38%, right? So it's, you know, it's a dramatic difference. It's why people are in debt up to their eyebrows, and it's why nobody can afford a home. And, you know, we could go through all of that. But the other things that Reagan did, he wanted to bring all of the Southern Democrats, the racist Southern Democrats, into the Republican Party. So he did, you know, the term that's become popular is the dog whistle, but I mean, it was more like an elephant whistle. I mean, he was really trying to attract them based on racism, and he accomplished it. And hence we had a switch from the Republican Party of Abraham Lincoln to the Republican Party of George Wallace and then Ronald Reagan. So, you know, he did that as well. He undid all of the environmental laws, some of which were passed under Nixon.
Right. The EPA
And
all
do
that.
remember also with Nixon that his Saturday Night Massacre, nobody got killed. But there was before that. I mean, my freshman year in college was the year John F. Kennedy got killed, and then Malcolm X got killed, and then Martin Luther King got killed, and then Bobby Kennedy got killed, and the Black Panthers were wiped out kind of universally by COINTELPRO. They were both killed and arrested, both, take your pick. So it was a much more violent period, to say nothing about the Vietnam War. So, you know, things are quieter now in some odd way. I mean, we're all sitting around watching this clown act
Right.
in the White House, but it's not as scary to me as the things that went before.
Thank you for that, because I mean it's scary, and yet I see also at the same time more people out on the streets marching for justice. I see more people actually taking active roles in running for local office and getting involved in their local meetings and doing everything that they can to actually to get more involved. Did that same thing happen during the 80s? Did the people react in the same way to during the Reagan years?
Not so much. I think it happened earlier than that. But running for office, no. I mean, the left wing did not run for office until quite recently. I mean, I would say AOC and the gang are the first wave of true progressives really running for office.
Right.
My generation of leftists thought elections were silly. And, because we assumed that the liberals would act like liberals. And then when they turned into neoliberals and sort of betrayed us, we were too far gone to figure out what to do about it. But I think this younger generation is really doing something very smart, which is both running for office and coordinating a movement that is a serious movement. It's a combination of Black Lives Matter and the Dreamers and the Democratic Socialists and all of that rolled into one that if they can hold it together is going to make a huge difference in this country.
Well, and that's kind of the next thing that I was going to ask you about is that kind of seems like the promise of Occupy from several years ago of the idea of occupying the Democrat Party because it wasn't reflecting what the liberals and progressives were wanting the Democrat Party to say, and so occupy the Democrat Party. And it seems like, especially with fusion voting and including the Oregon Working Families Party, that fusion is able to bring together a broader bunch of people underneath the Democrat House than we've been able to do before.
I mean, I look at it sort of differently, which is that I think we have right now in this country really at least three parties, major parties. We have the progressive Democrats. We have the neoliberal corporate Democrat types, which used to be moderate Republicans. I don't think there are any of those anymore. And then we have the Trump-supporting Republican Party. So you basically have three parties, but because of how our electoral system runs, they have to be in either Democrat or Republican for the moment. So the thing we try and do with the Working Families Party is to be able, with fusion voting, which allows you to have two parties nominate the same candidate. It's sort of wonky, but what it means is you can give a seal of approval to a decent Democrat and say, look on your ballot, and if it says Working Families Party, they're okay, as opposed to the Democrats that aren't. And we have to make that distinction because there are lots of Democrats who aren't okay. They're just as bad as the right wing. So we have to figure out a way to break this system down that we're stuck in. And I put a lot of faith in the young ones who are running for office right now because they are fearless. I mean, I would have a lot of trouble sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office just because I'm her age, I would feel sort of like, oh, Nancy, I have to be nice to you somehow. But not AOC. She doesn't. I mean, she takes the Green New Deal and she puts it right in Pelosi's face and says, this is what you've got to do, lady. And it gets done. So I'm hopeful. I actually am more hopeful now than I have been in a long time, despite Donald Trump. I mean, so there.
That's awesome. So obviously you've devoted your entire life to activism. Where does that start? I remember actually marching with my Aunt Lucy. You've all met my Aunt Lucy. Against U.S. intervention in Central America years ago with Ron Wyden was part of that march. So I've that was kind of the moment for me where I realized how people get together and work for doing something.
You want to know what my very first political activity was?
Yeah.
I worked at the Republican convention in 1964 as a steward. It was the convention that nominated Barry Goldwater.
Oh my.
I was not working for Barry Goldwater. Yeah. I was working against Barry Goldwater for a moderate Republican named William Scranton. Seriously? That was after my freshman year in college. I was from Wisconsin, so you think, you're a Republican. And after that, I became a something. That I wouldn't say out loud. I became a socialist feminist. There you go. And that is the phrase that I think you don't hear enough of right now. When people are talking about social democrats, socialist feminists are better than social democrats, trust me. Because they see the whole picture, and they're not just talking about the economy, they're also talking about the family. And they're also talking about human beings and human interactions. So I want to put that phrase back on people's radar screen. Think socialist feminist. Okay?
Well, and I mean, in just the last couple of years, it used to be that socialist, of course, was a naughty word. Progressive couldn't even be considered, possibly running for office. Now these words seem so much more commonplace in our language, and it seems, and it's being matched by the people's values. That seems part of the hope to me.
It's a generational thing. I mean, the thing that McCarthy managed to do, and before that, in the early 1900s, with the Red Scare, that I won't bore you with the history, but the thing they managed to do was to make communism and socialism un-American. They weren't just another ideology. They were un-American. No decent American would be anything other than a capitalist. And that really got into the heads of so many people. And I think our young people today, they're so deeply in debt. They're so fucked. I mean, really, the world has treated them so badly that the thought that socialism is un-American doesn't even make any sense. I mean, they'd just soon be un-American the way they've been treated. So that, I think, is the huge difference of the day. I think it is why socialism, I mean, Bernie was great in terms of, the old socialist from Brooklyn, in using the word in the last presidential election. But I think it's the young ones who are now making it something very comfortable for people to be talking about, and getting Trump and his pals worked up enough that they're already starting their ads about, how totally un-American, just wait for those words. Un-American socialism is. They're trying to, relate it to what's going on in Venezuela, where they're about to do a coup, and, all of that. Anyhow.
Well, one of my questions I was going to ask you about Sanders, you bring him up. During the last general presidential election, of course, we had the Oregon working families, like lots of us, had supported Sanders during the general and during the primary, and Hillary during the general, and there was a lot of rancor during those 12 months or so, and I think that the Democrats were doing a lot of healing. I think the whole nation is kind of doing a lot of healing after that of people like, hey, we weren't supposed to we weren't supposed to get that mean with each other. We weren't supposed to be that vicious. Have you seen work towards bringing those people together, or is there still some deep divide that's going to be hard to bridge?
I think there is political divide that's real, and I think I have so many things to say about that. I think that it is Hillary stood for something very different than Bernie, and both of them stood for something very different than Trump.
Right.
But I think we're beyond that now. Hillary's not running. God knows who is going to be the Democratic Party nominee. There may be, in fact, independents, for all we know, running, to the left or to the right. Mm-hmm. It's kind of impossible to predict at this moment. But the thing that I would say more than anything else is I think we have to be able to listen to each other and find out who our real allies are. I mean, I'm not starry-eyed enough to think that we can all be one big happy family. But I think we have to have a much, much better capacity to actually hear what other people are saying. we're facing some huge crises. We're facing crises of mass incarceration, of climate change, of economic injustice that won't quit, inequality that is really a huge threat to our democracy. And there are people of all different stripes, rural, urban, black, white, brown, who have varying views on those questions. But I think we have to find out where our unity is so that we can really make some serious change. The left has a disease of subdivision. I don't know what it is, but it just, we find ways to distinguish ourselves from the person to our left. And we come up with more and more and more distinctions, and we don't work together well. And we're not going to succeed if we don't get beyond that. We have to make ourselves listen much better than we do and love a little bit better than we do.
Yeah. One of the moments that I found very lovely but also very frustrating as a gay man during the Obama years was his transitioning on the gay marriage issue. As much as I love that, I was also like, shouldn't we have already been there? So I found myself needing to listen to him as he helped kind of bring a lot of people in the nation forward. Do you find that there's anyone right now that's got, I guess AOC might be an example of bringing a lot of people's, helping people find their voice, helping people be able to go forward with their politics?
She sure as hell is one of the most articulate young people I've ever listened to in my life. She blows my mind. But I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Does anybody else have an answer that they would like to throw in that would help me out here? I think there are a lot of people who are, I'm not on social media. There's
right.
conversations going on out there that I don't even know are happening. And honestly, I don't want to know in some ways because there's just too many of them. But I feel like, I'm 73 years old, for Pete's sake. I'm not the one who's going to know who the spokesperson is or who the spokespeople, because I don't think it's going to be an individual. That's going to be up to other people younger than me who will figure that one out. So there. I've developed a real fondness, by the way, lately for Buttigieg. Just saying.
Buttigieg?
You know who he is?
No.
There you go. He's this bizarre mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Oh.
Young
yes,
white,
Buttigieg.
white gay guy who went to Afghanistan in the middle of his mayor stint in South Bend, but he's kind of running for president.
Oh, yeah.
And he's barely old enough. He's 37 years old. AOC can't run yet. She's only 27.
Right.
But Buttigieg is running, and the more I listen to him, the fonder I am of him. So there you go.
And isn't
you
it
heard
amazing?
It
We
here.
say that the Constitution and everything, 35, but since I've been alive, it's all been these old people.
I know. Enough
older.
with the old people.
Yeah.
Fucking Bernie, what is he doing running again? The man is too bloody old. He's just really enough. Enough already. I love the man, but he's done. He should be mentoring some young people who could be running and carrying the torch.
Have you ever run for office?
Why, yes, once I did. In 1973,
Wow.
I ran on the Black Panther slate for the Berkeley Rent Control Board. And I lost. We all lost. But it was the year that Bobby Seale was running for mayor of Oakland. It was a year that Panthers were doing electoral work, and I was their young white professional, kind of. So there you go. Right. But I was I was the token, but I was so relieved that we lost, because the thought of sitting on a rent control board for 4 years just seemed so boring. So that was a real lesson to me about not running for office. I'd rather be on the outside agitating than having to govern.
I currently sit on the City of Tigard's Committee for Community Engagement.
Oh, boring.
We meet six. I just got the agenda for our next meeting. We meet 6 times a year. It is the most boring thing. We get nothing done. We sit, 15 of us get around and we talk about how lovely our city is, and then we go home and we don't do anything for 2 months.
I know.
But somebody's got to do it.
It's good the young people are running. I'm very pleased. I'm happy for them. So I want to, while we're talking about that, give a shout out to East County Rising. Have you heard of them? Oh. So out there in East Multnomah County, there's an uprising because all the people who've been gentrified out of Portland have moved out to East County and out to Gresham and out, beyond. And now East County Rising has been organized and has just elected a candidate to the city council, Eddie Morales, one of my heroes.
Fantastic.
And they are now pushing to elect school board folks in Gresham, Barlow, and Reynolds and Douglas school districts, and they're kicking ass. And so there is stuff happening even here in boring old Multnomah County.
Oh, absolutely. I grew up in the David Douglas district, and that district is doing some extraordinary things with inclusion and intersectionality and all sorts of things. Things they didn't let me do when I was in high school.
They didn't even have the words.
No.
I mean, you were talking, Shrista was talking about LBGTQIA whatever, right? So the one they left out was O for old. I mean, I'm just saying, girl, it's like enough already. I mean, I A, don't know all those initials, and B, don't give a shit about gender anymore. I mean, it really, menopause just takes care of it. It's fine. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. So speaking of making you happy, your family is part owners of the Bethel Heights Vineyard.
Yes, it is.
Out of Salem. How did that come to be? I love that place.
My sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law's twin brother and his wife, decided in 1978 to abandon other careers and moved to Oregon. My sister and brother-in-law were teaching in Michigan, and they came here and wanted to start a vineyard, and they talked me into participating in that venture, even though I was at the time living in Southern California and then moved to New York and then to DC. But I've been a part owner and whatever of Bethel Heights since then. And it's a great vineyard, and now the kids are running it, and the grandkids. My granddaughter, who just turned 21, was actually working in the tasting room last summer. So it's been very cool. I know, it's been very great.
So is your coming to visit Bethel Heights part of why you wound up making Portland your
Yes.
last home? And
Absolutely. Yeah. That is why. I chose Bethel Heights. I chose my family. They happened to be here in Oregon. I was not a rural kind of gal. So I looked around. This was the city. So I moved here. And I knew nothing about Portland. I knew nobody here. And, well, that's not true, because a couple of the people sitting out here I actually knew from college, but I didn't know they were here in Portland. So found that out later. But that's why I moved here. It wasn't about Portland. It was about family and about the vineyard. And awesome. I got to tell you something very cool about the vineyard. Mm-hmm. We have very recently gotten to where we can actually pay for health insurance for all of our workers.
Awesome.
Makes me very proud.
That's fantastic. How many workers do you have?
There are, I don't know the answer to that. Let me count. Probably about 25 permanent people now.
That's great.
Including family.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now you had been working with farm worker issues in California, and then you wind up being part owner of a vineyard in Oregon. Did your work inform how you managed the vineyard?
You betcha. I mean, we have, I think, some of the, you just go on the website and look, you'll see it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have health insurance for one thing for all of our workers. But yes, I think that our standards, our working standards, are pretty darn good. And also, as you said, I used to run Greenpeace too, so I was am an environmentalist, and my family has been leaders in something called LIVE, which is Low Input Viticulture and Enology. It's sustainable agriculture program, and my niece is like this guru in biodynamics and blah, blah, blah. So anyhow, we're into it.
Oh,
and when we bought extra land and added it to the vineyard, I named it Justice Vineyard.
Oh, wow. That's just beautiful.
It's good wine. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Where can we get Bethel Heights wine?
You can't afford it. It's all right. Really, I'm sorry, but I can't afford it, so.
That's a good enough answer. I like that. You're a senior fellow with the Hatfield School of Government Center for Public Policy. What does that mean?
Nothing. It's a way to get a permanent pdx.edu email. I teach at Portland State as an adjunct, which is very part-time. When you on your little flyer said Professor Dudley, it made me laugh because it's kind of, I am an adjunct. That is about as far from being a real professor as you can get in terms of I don't even get a parking space, much less benefits. So, I love teaching. I teach in the public policy master's program, and I love my students, and I love teaching. But, I'm not an academic. I'm an activist.
I love that. So, your activism, where can people follow you? Because you're not on social media. So how can people stay follow? Where are you going to be? Should we follow the Working Families
Read
Party?
the obituaries. No, I don't know.
Putting the O in old.
Yeah, you can. That's right. You can find me dancing at the Multnomah Arts Center. But you also can follow the Working Families Party. There's the Oregon Working Families Party. I'm also on the board of the National Working Families Party, which is kicking ass right now. Mm-hmm. So you could follow either of those, and you'll kind of know where I am.
That's fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, Barbara Dudley. Okay, that means it's time for our second My Real Portland questionnaire. What's your favorite smell in Portland?
Well, the one that makes me laugh is the fact that you can smell weed everywhere now.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you walk down, like last night I was in downtown Portland. I thought I was going to get stoned just walking down the street. So there's that, but that's not my favorite smell. Favorite.
Here's
my favorite from today is the smell of the earth when the sun comes out after rain. Yes. It's just so nice.
Isn't it amazing? And every once in a little flower that starts blooming, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I haven't smelled that one for a whole year. That's a great answer. What's your favorite sound in Portland?
Train whistles.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
I would say for walking over, it's the Steel Bridge because I like being down close to the river. Mm-hmm. And I like, sometimes you can look through the train wheels as you're walking and you look down toward the industrial part. I really like that. But the prettiest one is St. John's.
Oh, yeah.
That's by far the most beautiful bridge.
What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
Joey Lyons. Shrista Tyree.
There you go. I like that answer.
I like them.
Okay, so where are we most likely to find you for a weekend breakfast? 3 a.m. Hot Cake House, 6 a.m. Stumptown Coffee, 11 a.m. for brunch right here at the Slide Inn, or 4 p.m. for a Bloody Mary?
None of the above. You'll find me having brunch at home around 11 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect. I mean, that's me too. I never leave my house for anything ever.
No.
So
And here you have to stand in line for brunches.
the line that goes around.
No,
you
not
don't have
happening.
to wait for a line here at the Slide In. If you could rename any Portland street, which street would you rename and for who?
Oh, I'm so going with Shrista's answer to that. I was thinking when she was saying Quinnies, I was thinking, what is the Q Street in Northwest? Quinby. Well, forget Quinby. We could do a Quinnies Street. It'd be perfect, right? I think that is the answer.
It's a great answer.
Yeah, I'll go with that one.
I love that. And finally, if you were a tree, which Portland area park would you like to be planted in?
What kind of tree?
Any tree.
No.
You can totally make that one up too. Yeah.
Well, it would depend. I mean, if you were some kind of evergreen, you'd want to be in Forest Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you were some kind of flowering plum, hell, you could come to Gabriel Park. I'd like that. That's where I walk.
That sounds like a pretty place.
Yeah, it is. It's
Okay, I
very
like
nice.
that one.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all my questions.
Thank you.
Everybody, Barbara Dudley. My Real Portland is brought to you by me, Joseph Lyons, realtor in the streets, podcaster in the sheets. I help buyers and sellers across the Portland metro area make their real dreams become real estate. Learn more about me at josephlyons.com. And I now have a sponsor, and that happens to be my boss, Ernest Cooper, so here goes his ad. My Real Portland is also brought to you by advertising sponsors, and this entire season is sponsored by My Real Portland Rose Citizen sponsor, Cooper Realty. Cooper Realty's Ernest Cooper and his Northwest Portland boutique agency represents homeowners and home buyers all across the Portland metro area. From a duplex at 39th and Holgate to a single-level ranch in Rock Creek, Cooper Realty's one-on-one approach to real estate has closed 557 transactions over the past 18 years. Contact Cooper Realty at 503-515-8426 or visit cooperrealtyllc.net to learn more. So Laura and Barbara, do you know each other?
No.
Good. Fantastic. Welcome. Well, now you do. You're contestants on My Real Portland. I have here 7 questions about Portland trivia. The Jade Lounge is on Ankeny Street, named for Captain Ankeny. You all know who Captain Ankeny was, right? So most people know that Ankeny was once a street at one point in Portland. So then we renamed it during the great renaming of 1891. You don't need to know that. There's not a quiz on that. I have 7 questions about other streets that have been renamed in Portland. And I'm going to ask you each one. And when I ask you the question, you're going to let me know if you know the answer by calling out your own name. So the first question is, Portland's Burnside Street used to be known as what street? Ankeny used to be A.
Laura.
Laura.
B Street.
B Street. Perfect. So that's how we play the game. My Real Portland, the game show. Okay, so question number 1. Portland's most recent street name change removed the name of the racist bigot Benjamin Stark and replaced it with the name of this beloved gay supervisor of San Francisco.
Laura.
Laura.
Milk. Harvey
That
Milk.
is correct. Harvey Milk, 1 point for Laura. Question number 2. When riding TriMet Bus 44 between Vancouver and Willamette Boulevard, you no longer ride along Portland Boulevard, but rather this street named for which civil rights
Laura.
leader?
Rosa Parks.
Laura is correct again with Rosa Parks. Barbara's wondering, should I be faster on the microphone next time? Yes. Am I going to remember to say my name instead of the answer this time? Yes. Okay. Peacock Lane was renamed from 40th Street in 1923. In 2009, the street just to the east...
Barbara. Cesar Chavez.
That is
39.
correct! Barbara's on the board with 1 point. I love this. Quick learner. Speaking of public service, Nadeau Parkway was renamed for Bill Nadeau, who helped start the Portland Saturday Market, the Portland Max, and Light Rail, and helped preserve the White Stag sign at the foot of the Burnside Bridge. What was the road called before it was changed?
Front Avenue.
That is correct. That means you get the bonus questions. And if you don't know this, then the questions will go to Laura and she'll be able to get double the points. So bonus question number 1, not like I'm actually keeping score, by the way. So what's the full name of the park that runs along Nadeau Parkway?
Is it Riverside Park?
No. Barbara says no. Laura, we'll go to you for the steal.
I don't know it.
All right. The answer is Governor Tom McCall Waterfront.
Oh, Waterfront.
Waterfront Park.
We both knew it.
See, you had already just said Front Avenue. Okay, so here's bonus question number 2. What is the name of the world's smallest park fully within Nadeau Parkway?
Can I know where it is and not the name of it?
You certainly can. That won't be the right answer. What street is it on?
Well, it's on Front or Nadeau Parkway, but it's the cross street is. Yeah.
Morrison? No.
No, it's Mill End Park. Mill End Park, and it's 24 inches across. I encourage you to go visit. We'll move on from the bonus questions. Those were harder than I thought they would be. This year marks the 30th year of the renaming of Martin Luther King Boulevard in a 15-year-long effort led by scanner publisher Bernie Foster. Name either the Oregon route that runs along Grand and MLK Jr. Boulevard or the number of the avenue that would have been named if it was numbered sequentially.
Well, it runs alongside Grand.
Mm-hmm. What's the name of the numbered Oregon route?
Can I answer?
Yes.
Route 99.
That is correct.
You are so trivial.
The Sons of Norway were responsible for renaming Hillside Drive in northwest Portland after which Icelandic explorer? People in the audience are like, I think I might know. Okay, so there's a new rule on My Real Portland right now that you're just going to learn about. You can ask somebody in the audience for help.
We'll ask Ed.
Laura, yes.
Do I get to answer it?
Yeah.
Leif Erikson.
That is correct. See, I'll cut all of that out. No one will ever know. Okay. So I have a tiebreaker, but I think I think it actually went to Laura. So congratulations, Laura Bray is the winner. Now you have to see what she's won. And Barbara has won one as well. It is the My Real Portland, the pint glass.
Oh, yay.
And there you are. Congratulations. Thank you for playing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So my last guest is the husband of previous My Real Portland guest, Janalozzi Crenshaw. Billboard magazine describes his music as not only a collective of juicy jams and skillful rhymes. This guy has made his mark on culture. Now it's time that he garners critical mass to spread his positivity to the world at large. Please welcome to the My Real Portland stage, musician Mike Crenshaw.
Hello, everybody. Thank you to Shrista and Barbara Dudley. You're both incredible people. I'm happy I know more about who you are now. I'm going to do a song called Earthbound that Joseph told me moved him. And it encapsulates a lot of what we're facing as a species of human beings in late stage capitalism.
$7 million is a lot of us. Critical mass of consciousness. Some wanna ask if God exists, and I can't really say that I'm positive, but I'm confident that apocalypse is a consequence of thoughtlessness. Without clean water and oxygen, then apocalypse will not persist. Sky, the land, and Mother Nature. It's all we have, and it all is sacred. The time is now, don't way to waste it. Once it's gone, then we can't replace it. What if this world is all we get? All the signs say stop, but I'm not convinced. What's the hypothesis? If we continue the opposite, I'm like a mechanic on a diagnostic. Eyes open, trying to see the opposite. Increase the peace, the seek precaution, take risk, shapeshift. Decrease the toxins, ornaments, and to do less damage. Limit emissions, you need organic. Reduce the panic while I'm on the planet. I'ma make a difference before we vanish. Now the hook, it's simple, so you can follow along. Alright? Skin, scales, fins and feathers, we're all in this together. Fire and ice, changing weather, here we are now. Earthbound, skin, scale, fins and feathers, we're all in this together. Fire and ice, changing weather, here we are now. Earthbound, skin, scale, fins and feathers, we're all in this together. Fire and ice, changing weather, here we are now. Earthbound. You were supposed to do it with me. What if I told you the earth was perfect, respect and protect it if you don't deserve it? Look for direction and search for purpose and figure out how to make it work and go hard for the youth who will receive it and think about the futures that will leave them. Can't escape, I can't fly to space and the can't even sleep, so I'm wide awake. Reflect on the choices and why I make them mostly self-preservation to be weed. Destroys the land and how they slaughter the beasts, torture man, and if we still eat that despite the fact. Think about the personal side effects, rolling through the hood and stuck in traffic. Thinking about our destructive habits. Here on the corner, just drops a rapper. We can play him, but where's the factory? Passing rap the size of Alaska. Soaked in the ocean, massive disaster. Tragic, gotta do something drastic. Can't wait for the government to match it. Human race, we can't adapt, but where's the change? Their plan for that. Now, the second hook gives you an opportunity. It's totally different. Here we are now, it's going down, right now, earthbound. Here we are now, it's going down, right now, earthbound. Here we are now, it's going down, right now, earthbound. Here we are now, it's going down, right now. Where we at? Aquarius, through Capricorn, I'ma travel on my path and I'm off and gone. Marathon, deep out the line, North America, the capital of Babylon. I'm gonna back at home and get practical. Thinking how can it be more tactical? Gotta strategize, harmonize, and be compatible with what's natural. Can we turn it around? We wanna burn it down. Kill a whole goat for a herd of cows. Heard about that in 82. Learn about what acid rain can do. It's not sustainable, it's not debatable. The same capacity is not available. Self-annihilation is not explainable. That's a violation, what I came to do. Shed light, spread light, I'm prepared to fight. With more bloodshed, never make it right. They dropping bombs, we can talk it out. Take a look around, see what I'm talking about. Conservation is a conversation, not an interest to the population. No justice or equality with destruction of the ecology. Can't put my trust in policy when most of the economy is based on waste and exploitation. So the changes with the choice I'm making. Harmony between human beings. Drinking water straight from the stream. Imagine something so pristine. Here we are now. It's going down right now. Where we at? Here we are now. It's going down right now. Here we are now. It's going down right now. Here we are now. It's going down right now. Here we are now. It's going down right now. Earthbound.
So, Mike, this is My Real Portland. What's your real Portland story?
I've been here most of my life at this point. Came in 92, in my 20s, and shortly after I got here, I started doing hip-hop music as an independent hip-hop artist, and combining that with popular education and social justice activism is what I do here, and that's been. Yeah.
How did all three of those things come together? Especially, I'm personally interested in this the activism portion.
When I was a teenager in Minneapolis, I had been similar. I can relate to Shrista's story. I moved around so damn much when I was a kid that I was a social misfit, and so by the time I got to high school, I was. So by the time I got to high school, I didn't really fit in with people, and so it turns out that the people I fit in with were the other people who didn't fit in, and wound up in the hardcore punk scene, and had a sense of racial justice in my heart from experiencing racism in a white supremacist society. So when the Klan started organizing a gang called the White Knights in my community, my high school friends and myself, we responded to them. And so that was the beginning of me being politicized. And in order for us to survive and be effective, we started as a citywide organization and then went to be regional and national and ultimately international, called Anti-Racist Action. And so we confronted white supremacists and not neo-Nazis where they were, and engaged them in community defense. It was a violent political struggle. So adults in my community who believed in the effectiveness of and the intent of what I was trying to accomplish saw fit. Some of them who were radical revolutionaries from previous struggles for human rights and justice began to intervene and give me a political education, hoping to get me to see the root causes of the things I was trying to engage and end through violence in my young mind. And so that got me, some of those people were teachers at the alternative high school that I was a student at, and that helped me start to create, they offered me a teaching job. So I started to create curriculum that was really trying to examine the root causes of systems of oppression, and that really kind of shaped who I wound up becoming as an adult.
And so this is the work that you were doing in Minneapolis?
I started teaching in Minneapolis when I was a senior in high school.
Wow.
And then by the time I got to Portland, I was juggling with what I understood, what I had to do, which was work to survive, and the lack of any meaningful outlet for all the things that were inside of my consciousness. And so slowly I began to work in Portland Public Schools as a paraeducator, and eventually started asserting my way into teaching. And then for the outlet, the creative energy, that's where I started doing poetry slams, and got noticed for my spoken word skills, and that got me invited to be part of Hungry Mob, and that was the beginning of my hip hop career.
And that's the next thing I was going to ask you. Is your first recording was in 1994 with Hungry Mob. What's my question that I had written down was what has changed in the world since '94 when you were recording that? Kind of a stupid question. It's 25 years ago. Lots changed. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has changed, but I think about the overall zeitgeist of our time, and that, we as human beings, we maybe live 100 years, give or take, if we're. I mean, I moved my grandmother out from Chicago about a year ago. She just turned 93, and she's of a generation. She just lost her sister, two of her sisters, one at 94, one at 96 in the last few months. But I've noticed something about her generation, in that a lot of people my age who have elders of that generation live to be pretty old, right? But I've noticed in my lifetime, like when I was a kid in science class, we had this environmental science teacher talking about what the world was going to be like because of climate change.
And
Yeah.
what he was talking about was these disasters that are now part of our everyday consciousness that we face as human beings. These things used to be kind of far away and distant, and now they're in our face, and they're part of the water we swim in, you know, and the life expectancy has actually decreased.
Right.
You know,
It's just starting to tick down. In
Right,
America,
in one of the most developed countries on Earth, right? I've noticed that I'm losing people in their 40s of things that people used to die of when they were 70, 80 years old, right? So that's one of the things that's profound. Yeah. A lot has changed, though.
Wow. One of the things that I do when I write these questions, I don't necessarily prepare myself for the answers. So let's talk about your work with Global Fam and Education Without Borders. Right. So how did that come about? One, Global Fam sounds like it came first.
Well, actually, EWAB's been around for a while. There's a comrade of mine named Dan Shea, who is elder member or senior member of Veterans for Peace. And him and I, we would be at a lot of demonstrations together. And there were demonstrations in which I was invited to be a spoken word artist or a hip hop artist because of the message in my music and in my lyrics. And so he took notice of what I was doing there. Simultaneously, I was working with AFSC, American Friends Service Committee, doing counter recruitment work in the high schools because the military recruiters target low-income kids with subpar test scores, single-parent families, the whole thing. And so we were letting students know that they could opt out of having military recruiters have access to their information and their demographic information, their personal information, and so forth. And so Dan and I were working in those circles together. Him being, I think at the time he was the executive director of EWAB, Education Without Borders, invited me to become part of the organization. That was in the early 2000s. 501c3 organization doing work at the time. They were one of their major projects was sending educational materials to Somaliland. A former comrade had left, Muhammad Hassan had left Portland and moved back to Somaliland, his home country. So that said, we started working together, and eventually when I was invited to Rwanda for a conference in 2004, I came back, and Education Without Borders became the fiscal sponsor for us to help create a computer center in Burundi, Central Africa. That effort was something that was a commitment made in Rwanda to help comrades create the computer center in Central Africa. And in order to figure out how to do that, I had to figure out a way to do it doing something I love. Barbara, you talked about the boredom of public office, and you know, we understand that sometimes this work is not fun. So I decided I was going to use hip hop music to raise the money and resources to create the computer center, and that's where Global Fam was born, was that combining those efforts.
Wow. As I was telling you earlier today, and have written to you in emails, that the song Earthbound, rarely does any music recently make me cry. That song does, and most modern music is not. I am not finding has the depth, the willingness to write about the important issues that come naturally to you. I listen to protest songs from the 60s in order to feel some sense of peace. So who else are you listening to? What's your influences in music?
You know, I listen to a lot of my peers that I co-create. I'm in the process of co-creating music with, be it Micah Fletcher and his skills in our project we share called Last of a Dying Breed. One of my comrades, Libretto, we have another project. There's not a lot of really strong, hugely popular commercial music that's current that I listen to. Yeah. The way that I get turned on to current commercial music is if I just so happen to be on a long road trip with a friend who brings a playlist, because I'm actually so wrapped up in the process of creating and ruminating on trying to outdo whatever I previously created that I don't have a lot of time to consume, you know, as far as entertainment. That said, Sharrock, dope MC, female MC. Nalim is another dope female MC that I'm hearing that I'm loving right now. Some of my peers that are more world famous, Dead Prez, Immortal Technique, Mos Def. And then there's, music from the 80s, a lot of reggae artists like Bob Marley or Linton Kwesi Johnson. Mm-hmm. And then soul music. The first concert I ever went to was Earth, Wind & Fire when I was about 4 years old.
Oh, man.
Right? So that music still speaks to me.
And you were in Minneapolis at the time.
No, I was actually in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, because I'm from Chicago originally.
Oh, okay. But still, definitely a little bit closer to, it's not like seeing Earth, Wind, and Fire in Portland in the 70s.
Well, so check it. Okay, look. Prince's dad lived down the street from me in Minneapolis, so we used to see Prince all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Wow. So your wife Janet was a guest on the show last year. I found out about her because she was doing music for a theater, Portland Center Stage, that I had worked with other people who had been working with her. So there's a lot of music in the family, but there's also a lot of theater and a lot of performance. Have you ever considered, and I asked you about this before, have you ever considered writing a musical? Hamilton has really brought hip hop to Broadway. Do you think that could be a venue for you?
So there's a third grade musical called More to the Story that my wife Jana and I co-wrote for Sunnyside Environmental School. Back in, I think it was 2015 that we did that. And then since then, we've been asked by other schools to do it. And she just got a huge RAC grant to continue to develop the project, right?
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's that, but that's like the third grade people. I have been wanting.
They're people too.
No, I'm just saying though, I've been wanting to figure out how to tell part of my story, the experience of being a black skinhead fighting neo-Nazis and how central that is to my identity. I want to put together a one-person show, and
you're selling tickets right now. You've sold out.
So here's the
thing,
I've been off. I won't mention the publisher, but I've been offered, a book deal, and that happened probably about 6 years ago, and I have not been able to find the time. Mm-hmm. So that's one of my.
It's good to be busy.
It's on my list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, someday when you're ready for it, it'll happen. Okay, so where can people follow you? How can people stay in touch with what you're doing?
At Mike Crenshaw, Twitter, Instagram, Mike Crenshaw on Facebook, MikeCrenshaw.com. Mike Crenshaw is MICCRENSHAW.
Like a microphone.
Awesome.
Okay, that sound means it's time for the final My Real Portland questionnaire. Mike, are you ready?
Yep.
What is your favorite smell in Portland?
So there's this pesto that I recently found in the little cold pesto section of the freezer at the grocery store, and I'm not getting paid by them, so I'm not gonna say their name.
That's all right.
But when you heat that shit up, man, it just smells good.
I love it.
So my real it's Portland pesto called pesto. So if y'all hear that, I'll come see me and we can work it out.
Okay, so what's your favorite sound in Portland?
I really do like the sound of my Harley Davidson when I start it and when I ride it. But I will also, if you're ever with me and you hear a hog dip by, you'll see me go. Because I like loud pipes. Yeah.
Right on. What's your favorite bridge in Portland?
I do like Fremont Bridge. I like St. John's Bridge. I like riding across Fremont Bridge on my bike and looking left to right and seeing both.
Oh, on a bike, that would be. I've done it on the bike during bridge pedal, but not on an actual bike like that. Right. You're cooler than I am. By far. What famous Portlandian would you most like to meet?
That's a great question. Joanne Hardesty is somebody that I have known for years. But if I hadn't met her yet, I would like to meet her.
She's at the top of my list to be on my show.
Yeah.
Her and Janelle Bynum. Where is your most likely weekend breakfast? Hot Cake House, Stumptown Coffee, 11 a.m. for brunch here on the weekends at Slide In, or happy hour later in the evening.
You know, it's usually at the house, but because I'm here and the food was good, I'm going to have to come. And I've ridden by Slide In a lot, and I've seen the name. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's a little phallocentric thing about the name of the place that... Am I the only one that noticed that? It made me curious. Come on now. The place is called Slide In.
My first guest talked about her drawer of dildos. I'm...
That was the foreplay, right? Now we're...
Exactly right.
Anyway, I want to try brunch here, man.
Yeah, okay. I strongly encourage it. Okay, so if you could rename any Portland street, which street would you name?
I would like to rename Killingsworth to a Killingsworth of Nazi scalp.
I have always had a problem with the name Killingsworth, and I have wanted a better name for it, and I'll take that one. I'll bet somewhere along Killingsworth somebody has written that underneath in white. If you were a tree, which Portland area park would you like to be planted in?
You know, Columbia Park is really a nice park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a couple more songs? Close out the
man.
show?
I appreciate you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Crenshaw.
We come from everywhere. What's something I don't care? I see, I don't stare. We've been right here for years. Thank you for everything. I say this every day. I wake up and I pray. These are the words I say. Generosity over animosity. Keep it positive, little people watching me. What are the chances? What an oddity. 1 in 10 billion. I won a lottery. Identity, physically channel infinity. Black history, embody the chemistry. Bounce from captivity, announce activity. Creativity, the remedy for limited energy. Choice, necessity, poised for destiny. Successfully, hoist aggressively. Raw strength, 1/10 of the recipe. Details change, flexibility's everything. We come from everywhere. What's something I don't care? I see, I don't stare. We've been right here for years. Thank you for everything. I say this every day. I wake up and I pray. These are the words I say. Visualize your wildest dreams. The time is now to put it down, it seems. Actualize your deepest thoughts. Give thanks, go to work, keep my fingers crossed. I'm not trying to be deep, but I am not sleep. You in the trap lacking supply and police. It is what it is. Kids gotta eat. Get it how you live. Dying in the streets. Walls and distractions. Pause and imagine. Laws of attraction. Positive action. Bars and compassion causing reactions and walking my path. Confidence smashing. We come from everywhere. What's something I don't care? I see. I don't stare. We've been right here for years. Thank you for everything. I say this every day. I wake up and I pray. These are the words I say.
I share. Y'all want to hear one more joint? All right. Thank you. How much longer? We need to celery, accelerated salaries. You know it's either felonies or dollars earned hourly. Hidden artillery embedded in the calories. They know we gotta eat, so extinction is policy. I accept no defeat. That's my personality. The biggest nightmare is actual equality. What we have right here is
actual equality. Nobody fights fair except that reality. They got technology, evaporate your arteries. No remorse, responsibility, or apologies. They seek to see me in the clique, the penal colony. I just want to see the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Sometimes I feel like that. Get a round trip ticket, baby, I'll be back. I stayed up all night and my bags are packed. I gotta get away and find some time to relax. How much longer will we take it? There's a better world out there. Tidal wave. We survived for centuries against a violent enemy. High intensity, white supremacy, attack, fall back. Think and act defensively. Graveyards, hospitals, and penitentiaries. Continental invasion, mental enslavement, murder, rape, extermination, racial hatred is sacred. Hit and never did ignore the wall in my face, kid. But how much stronger will it make us? And how much longer will we take it? Cops and handcuffs, propaganda. Who do they serve and protect? They do not defend us. Get off my back, I've got to stand up. Mike Brown, Eric Garner, Oscar Grant's blood in my veins and arteries. The pain is part of me. It is what it is, but it ain't what it ought to be. If we change ourselves, can we change society? How much longer will we take it? It's a better world out there. We will make it. Tidal waves and the levee breaking, water's rising. Make you wanna light them up like metal in a microwave. I wanna wet them up like a Fukushima tidal wave. When they lie through their teeth and we die in the streets, they see my eyes in this beef, cause my identity is under attack. If I'm young and I'm black, it's not the gun that I'm packing, but the skin that I'm wrapped in. Exploitation and execution, slow pain and confusion, cocaine and illusions. Stupid music to dilute the movement. Counter-revolution, who the youth be shooting, and it just gets more intense, it gets more serious. I'm not convinced of shit, so I explore curious rather than complacent. Looking for the future in the data that is ancient. It's so mysterious. We just slaves to temptation, craving sensation. We rather feel good than change the situation. How much longer will we take it? Tidal wave. How much longer, y'all? Will we take it? There's a better world out there. Tidal waves. Then the levee breaking. Big up to my comrade, my sister Arietta Ward, singing with me on the hook. She's not here in person, but you feel her spirit when you listen, right? Tyree has it on the beat. Way. All the music is available on iTunes. I'm Mike Crenshaw. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Shrista. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you all for being here. One love. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for Mike Crenshaw. And once again for Shrista, Tyree. And Barbara Dudley.
It's always been home, I've always been here, I've always got time for one more beer. So pick up a beer and pull up a chair and strike up the band.